Welcome into the Saturday edition of the Hustle Show podcast, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Our flavors pair perfectly with our artisanal Blanco tequila for our subtle and refreshing drinks. Kelly Stewart, Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down college basketball. We got NFL playoffs, best bets at the end. Thank you for joining us. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment in the chat box. First up here, Kelly Stewart on Twitter.
Hold that thought. You guys, I haven't had a refrigerator for a fucking month, and it's here. Of course. Fucking Murphy's Law. My shit's getting delivered. I love you guys. Talk some college basketball. I've got 9 games. I'll be right back.
Okay. Chris Thurston, step into Kelly and Vegas's slot here. First up, follow him on Twitter at CTBet16. What is up, brother? Happy Saturday morning to you.
Drew Martin Bets, I was just in a terrible mood until I saw you. I know I say this every show. And then when you say, welcome into the Hustle Show pod, I just get in the best mood ever. I'm here, Drew Martin Bets. I know we were talking about this before the show started. I gave out Fresno State last night, right? They're up 3 with 3 seconds left. I don't understand how you don't foul. They let Boise bang a fucking 3, Drew Martin Bets.
Open.
Wide open.
Uncontested.
And go to OT. And Drew Martin Bets, you know what happens to doggies in OT. The pups die. And they died. And it's just unbelievable. And, of course, you know, you guys know how it goes. And I wish Kel was here to hear this, right? I texted Trig, and I'm sorry, Drew, I didn't text it in the group text. I texted Trig and Julian Edlow from DraftKings that I liked URI. And, of course, that was a winner. And I put that in. You don't post that on Twitter. And obviously, the ones you don't post, right, they're the winners. And you get Fresno and go to OT and die, a game that was also just, boom, should have been done. So I'm here. I'm doing all right here. And hopefully we can pick some winners today, Drew Martin Bets. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, man. Always putting a smile on my face, CT Bets. We got Kelly in Vegas getting a package, I guess, but we do have
Drew, she's getting a refrigerator. What has she been using, like an ice box or something? Like, how has she gone a month without a refrigerator is what I want to know when she gets back here. Like, it's just a refrigerator just showed up. But, college – honestly, Drew, college hoop has been a complete shit show so far this year. I'm really hoping that, February starts on Tuesday, and I'm hoping the turn of the calendar, brings some different results here because this is I don't remember starting a college hoop season worse, to be honest with you. At this point in the year, late January, it's just been awful. I'm just going to be honest. It's been absolutely awful. I've been on the end of what Chris just explained at least 8 times already this year. But we're going to turn that around starting today. So I'm looking forward to, as Chris Thurston tweeted out, best college hoop slate of the year. I actually think it's extremely difficult trying to find playable games today, but there's a lot of good games. So hopefully we can talk through some of them here on the show and find some winners.
Yeah, we got 12 o'clock games here, Adam. What about 6 or 7 of them? 12:30, Michigan State, little brother, big brother matchup. 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock games. Big 12 SEC challenge. We're going to be breaking down a bunch of these games. Adam, you bring up a good point in terms of, if you're not off to a good CBB start, which let's face it, a lot of sports bettors come out here, guys, and they're concentrating on NFL. They're just starting to get into college basketball. Actually, CT Betts asked me this question on his radio show on SportsMap Radio. If you are not hitting it very well, what do you do differently? I answered him, change where you're getting your information from. Maybe change some of those things up, and also maybe take a little break, not as much volume to kind of hold on to your bankroll. You've been doing this a while. Would you kind of oppose that? Would you do anything differently? Or is that kind of on your mind as well, Adam?
No, I mean, that's a great point, Drew. I don't play a ton of games as it is, but I always do think, especially for example, yesterday, I had an early game. Just how it worked out for me. I was on Colgate. It was a 2 p.m. game. It lost, and I was like, I'm shutting it down for the day. I'm not even looking at these night games. I need to go into Saturday and win on Saturday. So yeah, I mean, I would say doing that from time to time, but also just taking inventory. And I think this is the most important thing for sports bettors. You're going to have short-term stuff that happens like this. And short-term is not a couple days. Short-term could be a month or 2 months. I went back and looked at my last year. And I really haven't had to face adversity like this in a while, like over a year. So, you're going to have like a month or two where things just don't go your way. And that's not like that short term. A year and 2 years is long term. So you can't like sweat like a few days or even a few weeks where stuff doesn't go your way. And I also don't think if you've won doing like, you're always going to want to tweak things, but you don't need to just full blown abandon something if it doesn't work for a couple of weeks, but you should be like conscious of it, and like Kelly always says, she documents like every play she makes, goes back and like reviews like what happened. Was there, what could I have done to fix it? And I think you should just be doing that at all times, even when you're winning. It's important to kind of do that even when you're winning as well, in my opinion.
Good stuff, Adam. Kelly, your name was brought up. You're back. It sounds like that you got your package. Welcome to the show.
I was laughing because I was so miserable this morning. Had a great time last night, went out with some friends, and I just was like, God, college basketball is just such a fucking farce. I was waiting for you to ask me how I was doing. I was going to say I'm a miserable fuck today, kind of like how CT is every day. But now I'm in a great fucking mood because I've been waiting on the goddamn fridge for over a month. Don't ask. I don't even want to talk about the whole backstory. The end. I got a fucking refrigerator. So now I can talk with goddamn Vivas. Let's fucking have a Saturday.
Let's fucking go.
LFG, absolutely. Let's Viva. Get after it, guys. Paco, Healy, Brian Watson, Michael, all you guys.
Steph Brasco, I am not married. Do not worry. I will never be married. Book it.
All right. Hey, a lot of people, Kelly, like we said before, they like that you're on here and you cuss and you break down the game. So that's what the hustle's all about. Kelly Stewart, Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger, Drew Martin, each and every Saturday and Wednesday night, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Guys, we got 12 o'clock tips, and we're hitting them before the 8-minute mark. That's good. So Miami, Georgia Tech here. Miami -3, 143.5. I'd look towards the Canes. Jim Larinaga, they've been good on the road, but don't lay that 3.5 that's popping up. -3 is available out there. Georgetown, Butler. We got Duke, Louisville. Some people asking about this one, -6.5, 143. Louisville, change there at the coach. This is a game that I would look forward to how they kind of react to that change. As a sports bettor, we're always looking to change. Although I would look towards Duke -6. Don't love it. Don't really love laying a huge amount of points on the road in the ACC. LSU, TCU, LSU -3, 125. Is the total 126 at some shops. I like that under. That actually might be my best bet. Stay tuned for best bets at the end. But going around the horn here with the early tips, Kelly, if you're back in the saddle here, does one of those games jump off at you, or are you looking a little bit later in the card?
Yeah, Drew, it looks like you and I are head-to-head in every single one of those. I do lean towards the Yellow Jackets if it does get to 3.5. Are available for me to bet a 3.5. This Yellow Jackets team I was on just on Wednesday against Florida State. This is not a great team, but it's more of a play against the Miami Hurricanes, who have Notre Dame on deck. I don't think that they care too much about this game on the road. We could see this one come down to the wire. If I'm getting 3.5, I like the Yellow Jackets. That will make my card, which I'll tweet out after the show starts. I want to back Louisville. I really do. But the line was 9 last night. And I woke up this morning going, really, if I'm going to bet 6, do I think Louisville is going to keep this close? Yeah, but as I've said so many times on this show and many others, I'm not in the business of A, betting bad numbers, or B, giving out bad numbers. On occasion, of course, you're going to follow that line movement, that sharp play, but for the most part, I still lean Louisville, but again, late to the party. I might try to see if I can't get a decent number in game. And then with the comment section, I do like Georgetown here, +5.5. This one is, let me pull it up, what my notes say. This is a crappy Georgetown team. Absolutely horrific. Just 6-11 on the season. I love Patrick Ewing. Grew up one of my favorite basketball players, but this team is in shambles. I mean, they just got their asses kicked by Connecticut. Nobody wants any part of this Georgetown team. And this is one of those stinky trig plays that is you got to almost vomit to bet. But I just can't see Butler blowing anybody out. This isn't a team that puts up a ton of points. And I think we're going to get a really good performance from this Georgetown team today, at least, well, from an offensive standpoint. We know their defense sucks. That kind of worries me, but I'm with the comment section. I like Georgetown as well. This is that fishy line of the 12 o'clock slate, if you will.
I like that.
Yeah, Kel.
Go
I'm just going to jump in on that one. That's what I was just trying to look at while you were talking over here. And there is a serious ticket count heavy on Butler. And I'll just say this. I didn't bet this officially. I may just throw it in. It's not going to make my official card, but I can't believe people are just content to lay that number with Butler, because Butler, I've watched this team closely this year, and they're just, Georgetown has their issues, but Butler can't be a 6-point favorite to anyone. And then to see almost a 4-1 ticket count on Butler. Yeah. Fishy line right there for sure. I would have to say Georgetown's worth a look. I think you're getting a good number in what's probably a competitive game.
I was actually going to say that same thing, Trig. Their profile doesn't set up well to cover cover numbers here. So
I would very much agree with that.
CT Bet sipping on Aviva, man. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so Trig said it best when Kelly was receiving her fridge there. College hoop has been so square, and I like to think the four of us are not square. And it's just pick the favorite, pick the winner, and you win, right? So
lay any number you want. Yep.
So it's obviously, and luckily, I've treaded very, very cautiously so far this college hoop season, and haven't really dived in too much. Last night was probably the biggest bet I made on hoops, which obviously everybody's talking about in the comments right now. Fresno, somebody said Fresno killed them last night. I apologize. Fresno killed me too. I had 2,500 on it. Hopefully you didn't have that much on it. That sucked. Yeah. But there is a game, Drew Martin bets, that I like that tips off at 12:30, and it's big brother, little brother.
Right.
And I like Michigan plus the points.
Here we go. Side bet time.
Okay. Give me those points. Inject them into my veins right now. This is a team I was very high on to start the season, the Michigan Wolverines. And obviously that clearly has not panned out. They're 10-7. They've really struggled. They got banged up with our beloved friend COVID earlier in January. And this is a game, Drew Martin bets. Not sure if you know this, but you probably do because you're pretty high. You're pretty up to date on your college hoops. This game has been delayed 3 weeks. So they're playing it today. And the Wolverines were struggling as of late. They lost 3 of their last 4. This game was supposed to be played on January 8th. They're going to play it today, 12:30 Eastern. Wolverines are much more healthier right now. Juwan has that team playing very well right now. They've had some big wins recently. IU, Maryland, struggled a little bit recently this week against Northwestern, ended up getting it done. I like the Wolverines to keep this close. Look for Caleb Houston, who's a freshman, Drew Martin bets, to have a big game. I like the Wolverines plus the 4. That means Michigan State will probably win by 15, so take Sparty.
Exactly. Take Sparty. Don't be afraid to fade yourself, CT. I'm going to wear this sweatshirt during college basketball season because that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm with you. I think that Michigan looks like the side. Then I start looking just a little bit deeper. Michigan State off that Illinois loss. Late loser. Maybe they were looking ahead to this one. As you mentioned, it's been rescheduled so many times. This Michigan State defense is absolutely solid. No discredit to what you said Juwan Howard's been doing in Michigan. I think he's got a really solid offensive team. But this team can't run with Michigan State, and that is my concern here. I'm going to lay the 3.5. There's still 3.5s available. Might be 4 by the time I tweet it out, but I'm with you. You and I are seeing this the exact same way. Don't be afraid to fade yourself. This is Sparty rules.
That sweatshirt is fucking so gold.
Can we see it, Kelly? Are you?
Yeah, no, it's just a Barstool sweatshirt they sent me, and I'm like, yeah, right. I would never fade myself. I don't know. Some fucking loser on Twitter said she's 10 and 23 or 10 and something, some ridiculous number in college basketball. I go, imagine thinking I've played 37 basketball games this year, because I have not. I just started giving it out. We all know that I really wanted to ride through bowl season and just absolutely finish off what I started. And college basketball has just been slacking. But, as Trig said, the situational plays that I've used before, and it was perfect on Wednesday because I would have normally not played it. CT gave out Marquette. Normally I'd been looking at the other side, bet against the ranked team getting points. It doesn't matter. That has actually been really profitable betting that ranked team catching points. It's just it's so easy. It's literally so easy.
Yep.
Bet the better team catching points. And normally that was a complete fade over the last at least 5 or 6 years I can think of college basketball. Not this year.
Shout out to the Twitter watchers right now. Gravy in the Twitter comments saying, great pick, Kelly. Michigan State being the side. We got everybody in the chat box live on WagerTalk YouTube as well. Barry is like in Dixie State -2, maybe a little degenerate special there. We got Shane saying Kansas over the total. Of course, Kansas, Kentucky, Big 12 SEC challenge here. Kelly and Chris Thurston on the other side of me here, SEC Big 12 challenge. Let's see how this goes. This is the big one, the marquee matchup here. 153 being the total, -5.5. That's Kansas at home. Guys, I think this comes down to just Ty Washington for Kentucky play, or does he not? If he's playing, I want the points with John Calipari and the Wildcats. If not, I think it's a tough trip here, tough place to play, and I think Kansas takes it going away. So that's how I would look at that game. But also we got Baylor playing, of course, Auburn playing, Kansas State as well. I like that Kansas State under, Kelly. Have you gotten involved at all in the Big 12 SEC challenge, maybe on your Wildcats?
I have not yet. There's a couple of these games that start later that I have told you guys I've been really treading lightly, but I love this out of conference thing that the SEC and Big 12 have been doing for a while now. This is exciting. I like that under, Drew. I really do with you. I don't see either one of those offenses putting up a ton of points. K-State's defense has been playing better as of late. Megan Making Money texted me earlier asking me if I liked K-State today. I said, look, I lean towards the Wildcats -1 here, but I don't trust them not only on the road out of conference, but if you look at some of their other non-conference games they played this year, earlier in the season, Marquette, Illinois, this team just for some reason doesn't do well out of conference with good teams. Of course, they're going to beat up on like Kennesaw State and teams like that. I'm not sold on Bruce Weber getting to keep his job yet. I know that he had a nice upset win over Texas and Texas Tech, but there's a lot of problems there. I'm with you, Drew. I lean that under. I'm curious to hear, though, CT, Alabama, Baylor. Speaking of, like, looks so easy, just a lay 3 on the road with Baylor. I've got Alabama circled, wrote question mark, CT, question mark on my notes because I want to know what he thinks about that one.
We're going to have to wait for best bets for that one, my sweet baby.
Okay. Well, don't be afraid to fade yourself, CT.
I want to jump in quick and catch up on some of the comments, just specific games. I think actually most of these are like the next wave, 2 p.m. Eastern. Someone says, I like Creighton plus the 1.5, fading Xavier on the road. I would say be cautious there. Listen, Xavier's coming off a pretty ugly loss to Providence. I think they're on some sort of like 1-6, like where they haven't covered. I'd be cautious there. I feel like this might be the day Xavier gets one. I don't really have like a strong opinion in that game other than I don't think it's just as easy as let's just keep betting against Xavier because they're not a bad basketball team. Jeff J. Buff, love Wichita State at noon. Feels square to me, but again, I mean, that's what's been hitting. So who knows? A little bit. I've got Tulane ranked like probably higher than most. So I'm not going to be betting against Tulane at home. But man, I mean, I would lean Tulane there. But again, I think you got to just like, I typically fade the super square stuff, but it's kind of been hitting. So I don't want to like kind of provide that as like an actual like reason to play
Adam,
something.
I'd like to chime in because this is something that was asked of me from a Barstool guy. At what point do you start moving your numbers more aggressively, right? As far as a handicapping perspective, right? We all know I use Ken Palm because that's what the bookmakers use. I use it for the analytics, the stats. I don't use his final score numbers because we know that information is readily available to everybody at this point in time.
Correct.
But I do like to be able to look at defensive rankings. I actually even subscribe to his plus. It's like $500 for the year, which is what I would have paid for regular Ken Palm. But now that I'm kind of getting used to being able to pick and choose, okay, I can break down the analytics just based on conference play. I can break it down just on the road, things like that. And so that's what I'm starting to look more. But I'm wondering if on some of these games, I haven't moved the number aggressively enough on some of these really good teams. Marquette was a great example the other night. I know I brought it up just a minute ago with CT. And now I'm like, okay, Marquette, I'm going to move them up 6-7 points. Or spots, in the power ratings. I use Ralph Michaels' power ratings. You guys can get them over at WagerTalk for free. They're excellent. It saves me a ton of time. But it is something like that from a handicapping perspective that I think it would be good for our audience to kind of know your thoughts on maybe we're just behind, if you will.
Kelly, my thoughts are I go into overdrive in terms of moving my numbers. Like, it seems like me compared to other guys and girls that I talk to that know what they're doing. Like, for instance, watching a certain team and one game happens, I'm like, whoa, watch out. I'm not, if I had them power rated it, let's just say against a neutral opponent -3 and they look terrible, even at Pick'em, I'm not interested. I move my numbers like very, very quickly, and that's I don't know. That's
and you've been killing the totals, Drew, and that's why I guess I'm wondering is if maybe not only am I behind because I was very focused on NFL and college football, now I'm not moving as aggressively for late January, early February. Where come March Madness, am I going to be behind when the tournament lines come out because I'm consistently behind? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what I was going to say is I'm very aggressive in it, but at the same time, when that move happens, sometimes I'll take one game off. Like, for instance, I got LSU pegged as an under team, right? And in their last game, they played Texas Tech. I was big on the under, and sure enough, it did not hit. But I think one of the reasons why is because they were up against Texas A&M, and it was 70-64. I bet the under of like 132. So obviously wrong by a few possessions, 8 points, but there was 47 fouls called, Kelly. And that's crazy for an SEC game. And so now I'm taking today off, or not to actually, I bet it. I just didn't give it out to the clients. And one of the reasons it is because I want to see, hey, does that continue? Are they going to keep calling the games like that? And is LSU going to keep driving to the basket? So it's almost like I take a step back and watch how different it is in the next game. That's how I handle it anyway.
Yeah, I've always been on the complete opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to like, I almost don't adjust anything for what happens in one game, right? Because you're talking, we play 30 games. It's not like football where, I mean, these teams are playing 30 games. Like, there's going to be off nights. There's going to be like that night in mid-January, you got to travel to Stillwater, right? Like, just weird spots. So I've always sort of operated under the assumption, like, listen, one game is one game. My opinion of a team's not going to change based on one outcome. But like, maybe this year, I feel like I keep going back to these teams after they have like a bad loss, expecting a little bit of a bounce back or like a positive regression type scenario. And that it hasn't happened in a lot of instances. So I don't know. I don't think there's like a right answer. I think it's just a good conversation to have, but it's good. It's always good to be aware. I think that's like the moral of the story here. You got to just be cognizant of everything that's going on and try to, there's no like right answer. But
all right, shut the fuck up, Treg. Okay. I got one for you.
Time out really quick. I got to read this comment because I'm cracking up because every single time we do the show, people ask, Julio Rosario, Kelly, is that your house? Very nice. No, actually, it's Ski Profit's house. He lets me use his setup. Sorry, Chris.
There's a great comment. Andrew Full, OT is the farm that your parents sent your dog to. Yeah, that's true. That's where they go to.
Greg, I got one for you. People want to hear about the games. All right. So I got one for you. We were watching Wild Card Weekend at my house a few weekends ago, and DePaul was on TV. And I said to you, I go, Treg, doesn't it seem like DePaul is fucking scary good somehow at home when they're getting points? And you go, CT, that's actually a fucking great point. And I'm not giving this pick out. I'm just saying that DePaul right now is playing fucking UConn today at 6:30 Eastern time. They're catching 9 points. DePaul, Drew Martin Betts, hasn't won a game since Mecca died, okay? They're one of their last fucking 10, I think. I just think that it's a little too many fucking points, especially UConn coming out that blowout fucking win earlier this week. I think it might be worth a look. What do you think?
On that -9.5, that move is crazy because going into today, I did all my work yesterday. I had UConn -6 interested in it, and I see where you're going. The home road dichotomy there, but UConn is good. CT, but UConn's the only team to beat Auburn, and they're really talented. But you're right, that number might be a little bit taxed, if you will, on the Huskies.
DePaul is very talented. They're better this year than they have been in a couple of years, and they're like literally a sharp side like every single time they play. Like the sharp market hits DePaul seemingly like every one of their games. So it's like, but this team just finds ways to lose. It's like, it's really like unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now with that being said, they could find a way to lose that game and still get the money against a number that big. But yeah, what a frustrating team, because they really should be better than they are on paper. But the UConn, I was just looked at, I queued up like the betting in that game. It looks like UConn got hit by like some big money earlier today. I don't really know what to make of that. My lean there, just based on like Chris, our conversation last week and my thoughts on the two teams in general, would be that that's too many points. That would be my lean in that game.
Yeah, same. Not sure if
I gotta, there's another real fishy one I want to bring up. Drew, we can't stand this team, but I feel like they might be the right side today. That's Virginia Tech. I know you and I have talked multiple times this week about how we think this team is garbage. Basically, we've been right about that. On both Monday and Wednesday, Virginia Tech failed to actually just lost both games. I think they were the victim of that ridiculous half-court shot on Wednesday.
Yeah, they were.
But man, no one is betting Virginia Tech today, and I mean no one. People are betting Florida State like the game is over already. I have to say this one is so lopsided that it makes me want to be on V Tech this afternoon.
True. Sorry, Drew. No, I wanted to chime in here because if Kelly saw this, she would say the same thing. But Roger Lang, we're really happy that you watched this show, and he says UConn money line. Roger, if you're going to bet UConn money line today, you probably shouldn't watch this show anymore. Best of luck to you. Go ahead and lay that minus 400, but please don't watch this show anymore.
I think it's more than minus 400, Chris.
Okay. I love watching or catching clips of it. I don't watch it because I don't have time, but these like newer talking heads who get hired for whatever apparent fucking reason.
Right. Great point.
Giving out, I literally somebody sent me a screenshot of a guy. He gave out 3 big time money lines. Chiefs money line was one of them this weekend. And I'm just like, my God.
Yep.
Like, what in the world is happening here? Look, that's fine. You want to bet UConn money line? You want to bet Chiefs money line? My guy, you might win this time, but you're not going to win long term. Like, for lack of better comparison, that's totally the Vegas Dave model, and there's a reason why. Well, never mind.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Kelly, another point there is like when the money lines get that big of a discrepancy, like near minus 700, the take is so much more for the sports book. So you're going to have to win at even a higher rate that way, meaning the take, like the VIG, the charge that the sports.
Well, I think it's funny because a lot of people don't realize that the reason why I give out 3-team underdog parlays that are like 35-1, 70-1, all that stuff was actually initially kind of like a fuck you to the guys that give out Alabama money line, LSU money line, Georgia money line every single week. Okay. And while those are going to hit, you got to hit 80-90% to be profitable long term, right? I hit 2 underdog parlays this year, and I'm free rolling into next year, and that's the difference. And it's unfortunate that people pay people like that, and it sucks. But what are you going to do? I get it. I understand that people are looking for help and things like that. But please don't please don't do that. It's
Kel,
really
I wanted to give you a little plug there because you misspoke a little bit. You hit 2 money line parlays, but you also hit a nice money line, or not a money line parlay. You hit a parlay plus the fucking points as well one weekend. So I'm going to give you 3, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a really good college football season. I just wish college basketball could just be like 1/5 of that. If I can be up 10 or 15 units at the end of college basketball, I will be fucking ecstatic. I'm actually getting my tweet ready right now because I'm finalizing my card, checking last minute injuries. And I've got a game that goes off at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And I'm going, what is going to happen between now and tip that is going to completely fuck me over on any of these games?
Cal, I want to say one thing real quick. This is so important. Just because of what's happened up to this point, don't abandon like trying to bet dogs in good spots in college hoops. And this is the reason. These kids deal with so much shit all year, It's a long season. And then what happens is a lot of them are seniors and a lot of them are not coming back next year. And it gets to be mid-February and they say, you know what? My basketball career is coming to an end soon. And am I going to go out and just be miserable, or am I going to man up for the last couple of weeks? Or are we going to go and try to win some games, get some momentum going into the conference tournament, potentially play well in the tournament? You will see some of these teams that have sucked all year that were supposed to be better step it up in the final couple of weeks of February, and you'll probably be able to cash a bunch of winners as an underdog. So don't abandon the dogs. It's
listen, I love conference play, conference tournament play, because that is where you're going to see some crazy upsets, right? Some teams that may or may not make the tournament, they have a lot more to play for in some of these conference championship games. That's where I really start to love the dogs. But hopefully dogs are barking today, because I'm going to give out 4 or 5 of them, little sprinkles on the money line as well.
There we go, guys. We got best bets coming up. Like always, we're brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva Tequila Seltzer, refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Perfect for your post-game, pre-game celebrations if you are tailgating. Guys, we are simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at, it will be posted right after we are done at the Hustle Show podcast. Shout out to the over 500 people watching live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, and the near 200 people watching live on Twitter as well at the Hustle Show podcast. So getting some traction here, guys. The Saturday morning show, we're trying to keep it under 45 minutes, give you some time to get in these 12 o'clock college basketball bets. We got NFL playoffs, breaking them down quickly before best bets, but do want to give the chance any other games in college basketball. Keep in mind, we have best bets coming up like Trig, CT. CT. All right. Have at it, buddy.
Drew, I think it's important because the chat's going crazy, right? We touched on this game. Maybe people came in late, so everybody wants to hear about Duke and Louisville. I think Kelly did a phenomenal job of breaking it down, because when I was all banged up last night on my way home, my wife was driving. I had a Viva in my hand, and I said to her, I'm like, holy shit, Louisville getting 9. I like Louisville. And obviously, she didn't really know what that meant, but Kelly made a great point, and now the line's 6. Yeah. I should have bet it last night. I did not. I don't think I could get to the window right now and bet 6 right now. It might be 5.5, whatever it is. Duke might win by 100. Don't get me wrong. But I think that, we always talk about getting the best of it, getting the best number. Obviously, that really hasn't mattered in college basketball this season. But you guys are asking if I was going to bet the game, I would probably bet Louisville. I am not betting it. Not sure if you guys have an opinion on it.
I didn't bet it. It's one I'm watching with Louisville. The change at the head coaching position. Want to see how they react. Actually, CT, if I needed to bet it, I would probably bet Duke, but it's not something I'm touching. I know that KIV talked about it as well.
Yeah.
Guys, we got some other comments here. Talvi saying, can you guys touch on bet sizes? Actually, Talvi, come and join us Wednesday at 6 p.m. This is more of like the picks hardcore before we get going. Love the question. We'll actually hit on bet sizes this Wednesday. So come and join us 6 p.m. Eastern. We got some people asking, about the Big 12 SEC challenge. We got El Duque asking about Mountain West is the best to bet. I actually think the SEC and the Big 12 are my favorite to bet and the 2 best conferences, but I know Big 10 really good as well, guys. And Trig, did you want to throw out another college basketball game before we head to NFL?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a couple in the chat that I have an opinion on. Someone asked Middle Tennessee State, Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky is a significantly better team there. I would probably lay that number, even though it feels a little big. I think it's 6. And someone said Nebraska plus 2.5 is tasty. Listen, Nebraska's going to win a game sooner or later. And why not against a Rutgers team that does not win on the road pretty much ever? I mean, Rutgers couldn't beat Minnesota without half their team last week. So I would say, Nebraska looks like a very favorable home dog today against a Rutgers team that is typically not very good on the road. It is definitely one I've considered at this point. I would say that would be on my short list. But yeah, go ahead.
And Trig, do you see this comment here? I acknowledge that the dog days of August in MLB takes place in college basketball about 2 weeks before getting amped up for conference tourneys. I've never really handicapped that way, but you have?
100%. Yeah, no,
Absolutely agree.
Yep, 100%. That is February. Like these teams that have crushed it all year, get to like mid-February, and I feel like they instantly just go into like the mindset that like the tournament is like what matters and not so much the rest of the regular season. And I just feel like some take their foot off the gas, and then these other teams that are super desperate that have like really struggled all year are like, we're going to make our last stand right here. And I think you'll see some better efforts for those teams that maybe had a 5-6 game losing streak in January. And it's like they get off the mat a little bit when there's only like 2 to 3 weeks left. A lot of them 2 to 3 weeks left in their college career. I think that like gets teams motivated a little bit.
Okay. And CT, you agree with that?
I totally agree, right? So at the beginning of the show, Kel and I were bitching, right? Obviously, it's so square, it's so easy. Just take the chalk. I see it every single year. Come closer to March, these teams are gonna die. Drew Martin bets. There's a reason why they build the sports books, why they build the casinos. Okay, they are not gonna cover anymore. Drew Martin bets. Come closer to the end of February, getting closer to those conference tournaments. I think me, Kelly, and Trig, who are usually dog bettors, are going to do pretty fucking well come closer to the fucking conference tourney. And we're going to be out in fucking Vegas the first weekend of March Madness. So fucking come join us. We'll be smashing Vivas. We're going to be smashing fucking winners. I know we've been on a little cold streak here in college hoops. I'm not saying Drew Martin bets. He's been on fire with his fucking unders. So follow him for that. But look for the three of us, boom, to get real fucking hot real fucking soon.
Love that, nicely said, CT Bets. Yeah, heading out to Vegas. We got Roger Long in the house as well. So yeah, anybody going to be in Vegas the first weekend, hit us up. Love to smash some Vivas with you. Thanks for throwing out some plays, Richard Clay. But guys, we got NFL playoffs heating up on Sunday. Just going to hit them real quick because we did hit them on Wednesday night. Kelly, throw it over to you first in terms of just the matchups here. NFC, AFC, of course. I think that the dogs might be barking a little bit, and we can get a 7.5 on the Cincinnati Bengals now at a key offshore sports book. That's the way I'm looking. What are you thinking Sunday for the championship games, Kelly?
I think it looks really easy to tease the Chiefs, and that's exactly what I did here. I had that open teaser left from the Bills. I still had a leg from the Bucs, so and I started a new open leg with them, and that's where I'm looking, Drew, just because that seems like a very easy play. But I did give out on Twitter because not everybody can bet open teasers, obviously. And so it's kind of one of those situations where I didn't want to give out something that not everybody could get down on, right? So if you've got the ability to, awesome. If not, I like the under. I think this Bengals defense has been playing a lot better. Yes, I do still think that their secondary is a little bit suspect. This was Marco's best bet on Bet On It. He and I spoke about it a little bit before, and I would say it's very close to being my best bet, but I went another direction. We can obviously talk about that game here in a minute.
For best bet, CT Bets, any quick thoughts here, NFL playoff style?
Yeah, I'm with Kel on that, right? So I'm not one to usually bet totals. I luckily have good friends like Drew Martin Bets and Kelly, who gets information from a lot of sharp people. And I'm with her. A lot of sharp people like the under in the AFC Championship. I tailed that as well. I bet 54.5. Kelly texted me earlier in the week, and she said, don't be surprised if we see a 55 on Sunday. I said this on Wednesday's show. Or maybe I said it on the Thursday show I did with somebody else. But everybody's thinking Drew Martin bets 4 weeks ago when the Chiefs played the Bengals, that score, right? I think they put up 65 points. And now they go and they make that bet. And they're seeing 54.5. Are you kidding me? The Chiefs always score. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Drew Martin bets, give me that under right now, especially with the way those two games went on Sunday in divisional round weekend. Both of those games should have went under, and obviously we know what happened. They ended up going over in the fourth quarter. I'm with Kel. I'm with our sharp friends. Give me the under right now in the AFC Championship.
Wow.
I agree with you guys. Kel and I talked about it with Koken yesterday. I said that looks awfully way too easy to take the over in that game. And typically when you've got a scenario where two teams played and just played a high scoring game, there's going to be some adjustments. So numbers too high in my opinion.
An interesting thing really quick that Koken did say that was something that I didn't consider was how long before the Chiefs pull away, right? We've seen the Chiefs in the first half kind of struggle as of recent. And then all of a sudden they just pull away in the second half, just put on an absolute utter clinic.
Well,
I can see that being the case here, especially just going to overtime with Buffalo. He said that he likes the Bengals +4. Not sure if he was going to give it out as a play, but situationally, it does favor the Bengals. A little bit tired legs, and maybe the Chiefs aren't taking the Bengals too seriously like the rest of us really were.
Well, Kel, what he said specifically too was like, is it possible the Chiefs are in a letdown spot in the AFC Championship game? And I would imagine, like, if the Chiefs come out flat, that's going to only help the under, because it's probably going to be like, think back to the Chiefs Steelers, first half. Like, it took them a solid quarter and a half to get going. I think the Steelers led that game 7-0 with maybe 10 minutes to go in the first half before like all hell broke loose. But the difference is, if you let if they do that to the Bengals are competent and they're better than people give them credit for on defense. So if the Chiefs come out flat against the Bengals, the Bengals are going to be in this game thinking they can win, and I have a feeling they could make that hold up more than some other teams would be able to, because that team has improved on defense big time since the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Yeah. Triggering to that point, I'm actually looking towards the Cincinnati Bengals and the 7 in the hook, guys, at Pinnacle, which offshore shop. It might get there by kickoff, kind of in the legal betting marketplace. And I'm looking towards the Bengals here, Trig. I really am. 7-2 against the spread on the road, 7-2 against the spread versus teams with a winning record. 1 turnover the last 6 games. I think there's something to that, guys. Turnovers aren't just totally random here. Joe Burrow throwing it around. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. We get the best player on the field in Jamar Chase, plus the fact NFL playoff teams coming off of an overtime win are just 6-10 straight up and against the spread in the next round. That's since 1980. Of course, that speaks against the Kansas City Chiefs minus the 7. So if you can get that 7 in the hook offshore, I'd jump on the Bengals. That's the way I look at that game. And guys, anything else real quick before we get the best bets on the NFL?
Yeah, Drew Martin Bets. Obviously, we are sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzer, like you always say. The owner of Viva Tequila Seltzer, sticking on this game, texted me earlier in the week. The Cincinnati Bengals +7.5 is his best bet of the week. So take that for what you will. He's a pretty sharp guy.
Pretty sharp guy, pretty good businessman there with one of the best, or the best Viva Tequila Seltzer, the best tequila seltzer, excuse me. And guys, I would show it like CT Bets did a great job doing, but I drank all of mine, so I'm out of them. It's speaking
you have some on the way, Drew Bets. It'll be there in a couple days.
Yeah. But yeah, just wanted to say I like it. I like it personally. I'm drinking it. And our flavors pair perfectly with the artisanal Blanco tequila. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. We got best bets coming up, guys. Please smash the like button. This is the Hustle Show podcast, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, wherever you're downloading your podcast at. The Hustle Show podcast. Best bets going around the horn. Fire off as many as you'd like, guys. 1, 2, 3. Kelly in Vegas, start us off here, guys. Follow her on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, where are you going for best bets?
I'm debating, but I think I'm going to go with TCU here. You guys love when I say this because I say it all the fucking time and it gets really annoying. I'm going to take the better defense plus the points with the Horned Frogs. There's still 3s available. This one's headed to 2.5. I definitely think it's worth the money line sprinkle. No disrespect to LSU whatsoever here, but this is an LSU team that I think is really overachieved. And we started to see this team start to falter, particularly, Trig will know, in that Alabama game. We bet against them there as well. I took Tennessee last Saturday. I can't remember who texted to me. I looked at it. I said, you know what? Fine. Actually, I think I might have given it out. I might have given that one to myself. That being said, it's been a long time since last Saturday, and my brain is fucking fried. But I'm betting against LSU once again. Sorry, Megan, making money. I love you, but TCU wins this game.
TCU, the Horned Frogs. And Kelly, real quick, how do you think the Big 12 SEC challenge goes? What, 5-5, 6-4? Who do you think wins this challenge?
That's a good question, Drew, because I've got a mixed bag here. I have TCU that I think can win. I think Oklahoma State can win. I just gave them out as well. But I'm against Chris here. I like Alabama. I'm looking at A&M. I have them written down here. And I also am kind of looking at your Auburn Tigers. I was debating on laying the 9.5. It's up to 10 at most spots. So I'm kind of looking at, like you said, like, are they going to go 5-5? This looks like the bookmakers, in my opinion, before the games have tipped, looks like they've done a really good job here in terms of making the lines. I think K-State will be the deciding factor. If K-State can go in there and get a win, I think that might show that the bottom of the barrel in the Big 12 might be just a little bit better than the bottom of the barrel in the SEC.
Sure. That makes sense. And a lot of people asking about the Auburn game. I would lean towards laying the 9.5 with Auburn coming off of that disappointing performance where Jabari Smith was like a no-show. So I don't think that's back-to-back games, plus the fact they're coming back home. I would look to lay it with Auburn. I haven't personally, guys, but that's my opinion on that game. And actually, my best bet, we talked about it earlier, LSU TCU. LSU pinned as an under team for me. They did go over, but guys, I think a big part of that was the 47 foul calls against Texas A&M. I don't think they get to the line that much this time up. TCU, good defense. LSU, really good defense. Now we're seeing, I thought it was a setup last night, and it's tending to look that way. Late money tends to be sharp money here for the 12 o'clock tip. It got up to as high as 126.5, 127. Now we are seeing a pushback lower to as low as 124.5 at Westgate, one of the sharper books out there. So we're seeing 126.5 at Caesars. I think if you can find that 126.5, bet it to the under. We'll say widely available 125.5. I like LSU TCU under. That's what I bet personally. That's what I'll use for my best bet. That's a 12 o'clock tip. Kelly gave hers out on it. I like the under in the LSU TCU game. Call it 125.5 for record keeping purposes. CT Bets on Twitter at CTBets16. Doing the hula dance hopefully tonight after a best bet winner. Where are you going, buddy, with final thoughts and best bet?
Yeah, Drew Martin Bets. I just want to say real quick, I want to give Treg a little shout out. I know that sounds fucking crazy because I always make fun of him, but just to let you guys know, Kelly and I make fun of Treg all the time, but Treg is probably the sharpest guy we know in college hoops. He's hit a little gold streak right now, but don't fucking fade him. Look for him to get real fucking hot real fucking soon. He knows his shit. Listen, normally this would be a spot I'd be on Alabama, all over fucking Alabama, right? It's been so fucking square, Drew Martin Betts and Kelly Stewart, as you know. This is a team where fucking Treg told me at the beginning of the year, CT Betts, I'm looking to fucking fade Baylor this year. They're not going to be anywhere near as good as they were last year. And I was like, yeah, Treg, you're kind of right. Drew Martin Betts, this team has exceeded my expectations by a trillion. It doesn't even make sense. What they did, what Scott Drew has done is just replenish. It's like fucking Alabama football. New guys just come in and they're just unbelievable. This is the fucking better team. They're healthy right now. Akinjo is going to be a go today. -3 I got right before we did this fucking show. I think they win by fucking double digits. Alabama has lost 4 of their last 6. Horrible loss earlier in the week to fucking Georgia. Baylor's just fucking firing on all cylinders right now. LC fucking Cryer, Adam Flagler, absolute fucking assassins from the deep ball. I expect them to fucking rock and roll this week, today. No fucking problem. Baylor, fucking -3. Best bet. Go ahead. Fire that motherfucker right in.
Fire that pigskin, Baylor Bear.
I gotta agree with what Chris said, though. I was Baylor was a fade for me at the beginning of the season, and they quickly left my fade list. But I think I texted him maybe like a month into the season. I said, yeah, I was wrong about Baylor. This team's really good. Haven't really backed them much, but I quickly stopped fading Baylor. They're a very good team. My best bet, Drew, I'm still stubborn as hell. That's always going to be sort of my betting MO. I gave out Cal Baptist on this show on Wednesday night. They led at halftime. They led for a good portion of the game. Sam Houston State hit some big shots, and they ended up pulling out a close game at the end. But I'm going right back to Cal Baptist tonight. I think this is the best bet on the college basketball board by far today. They were 11-2 at home going into Wednesday. They're now 11-3 at home. They have Stephen F. Austin at home tonight. This team's not losing back-to-back games at home. I'm not going to go with some long-winded explanation. I know that's usually my style. Going to keep it short and sweet. Cal Baptist bounces back right here. This team is better than Stephen F. Austin. They're at home. They should not be an underdog. Wrong team favored. Cal Baptist wins tonight. There you go.
That's best bets.
Degenerate special, Drew Martin Bets, 10 p.m. Eastern. Let's go.
Late night. So we got some early start here, guys, with the TCU LSU game starting in 10 minutes till tip off. And then you got late night action there. Best bets, getting it all day long on Saturday. Stay warm out there. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer. And it pairs perfectly, with our Intestinal Blanco tequila. So, guys, I need a Viva. CT smashing them. Hopefully you have a good Saturday there. CT cashing your bet. For Kelly in Vegas, Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger, I am Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Love it, Kelly. All right, guys. Best of luck with your bets. Thanks for tuning in, and stay warm out there. Cash those tickets. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Kelly in Vegas cashing hers here in just 8 minutes with TCU. We got Chris Thurston going strong, Adam Trigger, Drew Martin. We're signing out, guys. That's enough for me.